in power that occurred today, and apparently they are having issues with the internet today in Iran. I have a friend, Nagin, in Iran, and she says that the internet's going a little crazy today with the change in presidential power in Iran. And yeah, this is not an Iranian president that's going to be palling around with the Americans anytime soon. Hey, let's, before we get into our business here of doing some politics with our good friend, teacher for sanity, the daily debunker, the professor, let's talk quickly about Scooch Case. I think it's on the back, actually. It says scoochcase.com. And I want you to go to scoochcase.com, and I want you to buy their cases. Why do I want you to buy their cases? Because they're my sponsor, and they make good cases. No question about that. And they make a fun case. It's a very interesting and fun little thing. It's got a little clip on the bottom that helps you hold the phone and balance the phone on your desk and do all kinds of fun stuff. And the folks at Scooch Case are great. It's a local, well, it's an Indiana company, and they are a bunch of good folks. And their products are made in China and Japan. Of course they are. But when you buy them, you're helping real Americans have a job. So Scooch Case, check them out. And I think probably Friday, we have a returning guest. I think I would have to check with Kizzy, but we got something going on Friday. And we're going to go back to our summer schedule of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday consistently. But let's talk politics. Let's just jump right into it, since I started it with some stuff about Iran today. What's going on, my friend?
Going, man, long time.
Yeah, really long time. Time really flies by. We have a I think we've talked at least once since Biden became president, but not too much more than that. I've things have been
Right.
a little crazy. I actually watched CNN for the first time, literally, for the Jeff Bezos launch his own penis in space show.
Well, they're calling for Chris Cuomo to step down on CNN
The
because I don't know. I guess he was involved in the transcript or something. I don't know. It's a lot of breaking quick news here.
Oh, Chris Cuomo, they're calling for his brother now, the governor's brother, to step down.
Yeah. There was somewhere in print, yeah, or somewhere on a website on major media source. Had an op-ed, and they had a picture of both of them, and they detail Chris Cuomo's involvement. And I don't know much more besides that.
Yeah, I
But
don't know. I mean, was Chris, well, I don't want to get into it in terms of what happened, but I know the executive producer was saying that he has been trying, Chris Cuomo, that is, to stay out of the news, reporting the news about his brother, which I think would probably be the ethical thing to do. I would imagine the same. The whole thing about Cuomo's very, very messy and very old politics in there. So we could actually talk about that too, right here off the bat, if you want to, because if people don't know, Cuomo has been accused of, by the New York Attorney General, of multiple sexual misdeeds. I mean, there's no crime so far that has been
yes,
accused.
there are crimes, but there's no indictment yet. There's just evidence that's been published from a report, a very special report from the Attorney General. It's the first of its kind, because never in New York's history have, like 11 women come forward to claim sexual harassment and have a governor removed. We did have a governor who was caught in a prostitution scandal. Elliot Spitzer was
Oh yeah,
codenamed Client Nine or something like that.
yeah,
And
I remember that.
but he had the good sense to resign the first day, because I don't know. I guess it was illegal, or prostitution. There was a fine. I don't know. I guess it's really just embarrassing. But the you know that was right before Cuomo came. There was Patterson in between, and he has also had settlements, I think, related to disgruntled employees.
Cuomo has?
Uh, New York has not had a great streak of governors, but for some background, Cuomo first came in 2011.
Oh, you're slipping off camera there, bud.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Cuomo came into office in 2011,
Okay.
and from my perspective as a teacher, I've been reporting ever since that happened that he stopped funding critical funding to impoverished schools, and it was hard fought, court ordered twice, and passed into legislation and signed by Governor Patterson, his predecessor, and he never funded it fully from his first day in office. And then maybe like 5 years in, he started to fund it at like 50%. And every year, how much he would fund would be based on his whims. And his budget director, Robert Mujica, who was just promoted and escalated every time he made a budget that favored the charter school donors, the biggest names on Wall Street. um, you know, I can't really talk about the real estate money. I can talk about the education space money and charter school developers, financiers, astroturfers, including Republicans. There's a lot of crossover money with Jeb Bush. He has a donor that has been giving to Mitch McConnell for years. Every year gives money to both sides, and Cuomo has been taking their money. And This racist scare, like dust up, happened when Dan Loeb, the billionaire hedge fund manager, made a racist comment against Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins when she first came into office, and she said, this is a Cuomo donor that is a Puerto Rico debt vulture, and he made a comment that Andrea Stewart Cousins is worse for black kids than anybody who wore a hood.
Oh,
And
wow.
there was protests, including, I don't remember Letitia James being in the protest, but Jumaane Williams was in the protest. Al Sharpton was in the protest, and they protested and they said that Dan Loeb should step down from, like, he was the chairman of the board of Success Academy charter schools, and at the same time they funded political action committees, PACs, that got Cuomo reelected, Republicans reelected. They had a Republican majority for most of that time that blocked funding to schools every single year, and Cuomo was the ringleader, a Democrat fighting Democrats every single year. And that's what it's been like for education the entire time that Cuomo has been in office. And we supported Zephyr Teachout running against him. She got a very good 32%, considering she only spent $400,000. And then Cynthia Nixon,
$400,000 on the whole campaign?
I don't know, that was the last I heard, but Cynthia Nixon, ran in that kind of
Yeah, I remember
progressive.
that.
Yeah, and she got pummeled, and Cuomo was considered to be riding high, and we all know that he stepped down in front to, like, take the spotlight every single day, try to get the spotlight away from Trump in the daily briefings. But they're basically just reading the news and reading a bunch of numbers, and then Cuomo got to be this huge national star, such that podcasters in California are going, "Oh, Andrew Cuomo, he's really led us through this crisis."
Right.
They don't know what they're talking about. He is responsible for people dying. The nursing home scandal is only the tip of the iceberg if you just consider the science and how late he was closing down the cities, at the schools, the transportation, everything. And the teachers were the ones that were leading the charge to close the school with sick outs, and it wasn't going to last long. They knew that they had to close the schools, and so then after the teachers forced the schools closed, De Blasio got credit or something, and then immediately Cuomo shut down the whole state, because he didn't want De Blasio to be. He made they all made the wrong decision every minute that went by, and, I don't know about you, but in my head I was saying, shouldn't we be screening people coming off planes right now?
Mm-hmm.
Were you thinking the same thing? Like any common sense going on here? By the time I heard about it, it should have been long caught of trap from travelers. You
Right.
know, and Trump tries to say, "Oh, I banned travel from China." One country, give me a break.
Well,
So,
the if everybody sees me looking down, I'm just inviting people to join us or watch the show here. Tony D, what's up, man? You should come up here in a few minutes. Stick around, Tony D, and talk some politics with us. The quote and Kizzy, great to see you out there. And I know everybody that knows me IRL, and I've been really busy and lots going on. So apologize to all my friends out there that haven't heard from me for a couple of weeks. And I'm still riding high off of coming back from LA, but the haven't been too deep into it, but I'll be here to come up. Yeah, cool. Well, I'll send you an invite here in a few minutes. So, do you think Cuomo's gonna? Do you think he'll resign, or are they gonna have to impeach him?
the drum is beating, as far as I'm hearing. I mean, rumors that I'm not going to comment, but I have a source that's usually pretty right that says he doesn't make it till Friday, and you do see some ultimatums, like they're going to start the impeachment on they'll give him till Friday to gracefully bow out, but then it actually turns out there were impeachment hearings scheduled for next week, early next week, they say. And this was scheduled long before this happened. You know, um, Remember, this is a 5-month investigation that led to
Right.
this report. And all that time, the assembly was supposed to be doing their own investigation towards impeachment. Um, but now that Letitia James has issued her report, she has said that she would cooperate with the assembly investigation. And if the assembly even starts impeachment proceedings, the governor has to step aside until they're concluded in New York.
I heard that the attorney
Right.
general has to. I'm not the attorney general. The lieutenant governor becomes governor.
All right. So a majority of Democrats have signed or have told the press that they will impeach Cuomo. So he knows this is just a matter of time, and he could be saving taxpayers a lot of money by stepping aside right now,
Right.
and to cover up his corruption and his harassment. Well documented in this case. Um, Apparently, it seems like the trooper allegations blindsided him, and Cuomo had like a defense for each one. But the public first heard about the state trooper for the first time when at that press conference. As far as I know,
Well, to give us the details on the state trooper.
he she was on his detail, and she had a gun, and he caressed her belly or area in the front, and she said, that he was creepy, and he made comments to her like, "Why don't you wear a dress?" And she was like, "Because there's nowhere to put my service gun," and she had a brave face at the time, but she confided in others at the time that it was creepy and horrible. I can't talk about it. I want to go home and cry, stuff like that. I mean, I might be mixing the different cases,
Sure.
but
That
if you guys haven't seen Charlotte, what's her name, Charlotte Bennett, um, she is very telegenic, and she's been doing the interview circuit, and she Cuomo was trying to pick her up, and she has been saying that she recognizes when a man wants to sleep with you and he's bird dogging you.
Uh huh.
And then the woman host, like, look, the woman host looks at the camera like, you know. So, because all these anchor women have been through it their whole lives.
Right.
Not to laugh, but it's just I'm laughing at Cuomo is such a clown.
Well, and
Um,
I was talking about this with the executive producer earlier today. I'm not here to do in any way, especially being a 55-year-old cis white male, to defend Cuomo. The the thing that being a 55-year-old cis white male with the world changing, my instinct would be to be like, what, like, because this has continued to happen. This happened up to a few months ago or something. I think, like, if Cuomo had done this 15 years ago, you know what I mean, I might look at it a little differently. I'm not saying the results would be different, or I would be correct at looking at it differently, but the man was, like, I mean, I don't know how you don't get it. Especially somebody that should have gotten it before anybody else, being in the fact that he's in politics, and should have felt this wave coming before it did. So,
well, yeah,
um,
and I don't know how much of his Dr. Seuss reply you saw. Did you see the video that was prepared ahead of time?
oh no, I didn't see it. I know he put one out there.
Oh, I call it Dr. Seuss because he was like, I kiss people all the time. I kiss people on a plane. I kiss people on a train. And then he had the audacity to show pictures of him kissing his mother, and then his mother kissing him back, and then Mario Cuomo next, and then Al Sharpton, and then, like, Nita Lowey, who just lost her seat to Mondaire Jones, and is one of the richest members of the House, who just lost her seat to a progressive. And she was the only one of the only
Hey, keep
voices
talking, my friend. I've
that's
lost my sound for a second, but
yeah,
keep going.
well,
I'll catch back up with you in a second.
so Cuomo had the slide deck in his statement, embedded pictures, like when you edit in pictures, and he had all these people that he was kissing, and he was trying to say he's just an affectionate person,
Uh
and that
huh.
all those embraces were just showing his warmth.
Showing his warmth. Yeah, and he's an affectionate person. Um,
Come
my
on, Rev, that was
my
the setup. You were supposed to say the warmth in his pants, right?
oh, the yeah, I don't, like, there's a whole thing recently with the rap singer, the rap star, DaBaby, and getting booted out of Lollapalooza, and um, it wasn't his first defense. You know what I mean? Like, this performer has had other offenses before, and I would imagine has been told, dude, you might want to clean that shit up. And if it was a couple of years ago and he cleaned that shit up, I mean, people can, let people get away with a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, Cuomo's obviously his own worst enemy here, and probably should sail off into the sunset. Do you think he had presidential aspirations before COVID? Do you think he
Yes, and this is a good reason why he probably knew in the back of his mind that he would get caught on something, because he's been rebuffed by these women over and over, and he didn't get the hint. Um,
And I mean, look, I guess you don't want your face on Tinder if you're the governor of the state of New York, but there are certainly very expensive services, not prostitution here, folks, but
well, that's exactly. Look, Elliot Spitzer. I think he tried to say something like, this is a very high pressure job or something like that. And then, like, the same thing happened. We had Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, who stepped down because one of his former partners came forward and said that he used to choke her And I was like, "Wow," you know. And then he stepped down. He had the nerve, just the sense, I mean, to step down immediately. And you know, you barely have heard from him. I think he became like a yoga instructor.
Hey,
Um,
Carmen, nice to see you out there.
but
Became a yoga
he was
instructor.
governed.
Yeah, I mean,
So here's the deal. You know, in the next election, it's November of 2022,
right.
which is a midterm election. So this is the top of the ticket. And he, you know, we had Zephyr Teach Out, we had Cynthia Nixon, and in the next go around, he would be mincemeat. And what's happening now is, you know, Cuomo might handpick, you know, his successor and try to
Hmm.
hand down all his corruption. But Letitia James is in the catbird seat because traditionally you go from attorney general to the governor. That's
The
how
governor.
Cuomo
Yeah.
went up, and that's how Spitzer went up. And Letitia James has been, you know, the public advocate and then attorney general. Cuomo actually helped her get elected by blocking Zephyr Teachout, because Zephyr Teachout was also running against Tish James for attorney general, but it was a
She was
crowded
running both
race.
at the same time.
No, it was after, um,
Oh, I see. Yeah, because it was a different election, actually.
right, and it was after Zephyr lost her race for House too.
So,
They yeah. By the way, if people don't know what we're talking about, Zephyr Teachout is a Fordham law professor that wrote a book called Corruption in America, and I listened to it on tape. I suggest everybody does it. And she takes you from corruption statutes going back to Benjamin Franklin's snuff box from England, and the laws that were made ever since, the exceptions that were made, the Supreme Court rulings. And she takes you right up to the day the book was made, which was, I guess, like 2015 or something, 2012 or something. But you know, she wrote the book on it, and she ran these races, and she's the one that forced Cuomo to ban fracking in the state. There was no doubt that her campaign caused Cuomo, after a couple months after the campaign, to ban fracking in the state, which was a big deal. Even though it comes over the border in Pennsylvania in our water anyway, you know, at least we can control our borders. So look, Letitia James right now is the one that issued her report. She says we step away from this point, and there is an investigation, a criminal investigation that was opened up based on the troopers' allegations in Westchester County Court, where the incident is supposed to have taken place.
um, so who? Wow, who do you think? Who's your who's your favorite for being the next governor of the state of New York? Hey, Tony D, let me pull you in here, and you can say hi here after Teach answers this question.
Um, well, the names that are being floated are Alessandra Biaggi, who came in the wave of defeats of Andrew Cuomo's handpicked fake Republican Democrats. I think we mentioned it on this show before, but the IDC was helping Cuomo take away power from the Democratic majority by making a side deal with Republicans and the 8-member IDC caucus. And Alessandra Biaggi and Jessica Ramos and Robert Jackson were and Zelnor Myrie and Julia Salazar were all elected in a wave that put 6 out of 8 of them out of business, and the legislature has been more progressive ever since. And they came into office in 2019, and Alessandra Biaggi headed up a panel on sexual abuse, and they got hard fought legislation passed. And then one of Cuomo's accusers is also related to that same struggle, where they organized and they got legislation passed, which is very hard to do because Cuomo has to sign it, and it made it mandatory to have investigations by a non like connected or non-sympathetic position, right? Like there
Mm-hmm.
has to be like an office of, and there just has to be like an auditor there that just registers the complaint on paper, and and takes it all down. And that new law increased that all throughout New York State government, and one of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is the face of that. And so Alessandra Biaggi is one possibility. There's also Jessica Ramos from Queens, like the Astoria area, I believe, and she's been an incredible state senator. And Andrew Stewart Cousins made her the chair of the Labor Committee in the state Senate, which was very impressive for an incoming state senator. And so she knows what I know. Like I took pictures with her. She was very good, and I interviewed her on education, like I interview everybody. And get them on the record about charter schools. So she was amazing on charter schools, standardized testing, and she's been an incredible ally of Robert Jackson. She's fought for legislation, and it actually got enacted of what they call like the gig workers weren't getting any compensation, and there was one of those provisions that did get passed, and people are literally getting checks if you were like out of work in the gig economy. And
Mm-hmm.
I think they call them excluded workers. That's the bill. It was the Excluded Workers Act. So Jessica Ramos is a possibility. Then you might have celebrities, that try to get into the act. The Republicans have already announced. You have Lee Zeldin, who is a congressman from Long Island, one of the shrinking New York delegation of Congress people. And You have Elise Stefanik from
Mm-hmm.
upstate, who won her House race, and she made herself kind of famous sticking up for Trump in the Trump impeachment trial.
Isn't that the little Republican version of AOC?
That's right. And
Yeah.
but she won her reelection in a $1 million race, multi-million-dollar race.
Ah, that's good. Wow. Well,
Her opponent was Tedra Cobb, who's trying again.
who? Um. Hmm. Wait. Well, Tony D, man, what's going on?
Tell
So
me it's been a minute, man. How you living?
It has been a minute. I
Yeah,
have been
yeah.
busy as Hades during the height of the Spanish Inquisition. Man, I am been a busy dude. The but enjoying it.
Debunker,
How
how you
you
doing,
been?
man? I'm good. I'm good. Big us daily debunker. I hear what you're dropping up here. I'm out of state, but I was hearing a lot of good things about Cuomo last year, and I swear I've done a full 180. You know what I'm
you
saying?
see,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a
I'm
full
saying because
180.
the
He had a
media,
lot of
he was
support last year.
he
Yeah.
was the
Right.
media
Tony D.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
um, Everybody got swept up because he was a media sweetheart, and that's when he started doing that book. And there's a separate investigation that's still ongoing, and it's going to determine whether or not he used state resources to promote his book, which basically means he just had of his staff do work, like shipping books, or helping edit or whatever.
Right.
So you paid for it. I
Well,
hope you
Tony
Yeah,
like
D,
it.
my
what do
own
you?
thing is, go
Go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead. My thing was being that he was in office most of the time, if he had his staff doing something, how illegal was it that he was looking into his own information? And I only ask you that because of what he was already doing. We knew how busy he was last year. He was on the news every damn day for an hour. I really think he got tired of talking about everything after about a month and a half. Because I was watching him, I almost felt bad for him. Like he's saying the same shit over and over and over, and that would get redundant for any politician.
Yeah, it's a great point. You actually zeroed in on something very big, and
Mhm.
I think the media and the pundits are taking a day to react on the news. That he obtained information on an ongoing procedure, and he leaked information about the whistleblowers that came out in like attacks, from allies. And
man.
he had a lot of media on his side. Um,
Because he was drawing the most
he
attention
has
behind the president.
his,
Yes, he
his
was drawing the most
brother.
attention behind the president.
Yeah,
He
his
had more
brother.
attention in New York than de Blasio did.
Say that again.
I said he had more attention in New York and in the world than de Blasio did.
Right. And what did he actually do? He sent 20,000 people to their death in nursing home scandals.
Yeah, I heard
That was
about that.
also proven by Letitia James. That's what got the ball rolling here. She did not determine that the state was at fault for the deaths, but she found out that there was an attempt to cover up the numbers after the fact that actually had happened. And it was a matter of like designating a death in this column or designating a death in that column, if you know what I mean. And
Yes.
Letitia James issued the report on that months ago, and that's
Well,
when
here's
the
the
women
kicker.
came forward. And it's been
And if you
five
don't mind
months.
me asking, I'm actually
Yeah.
curious. The numbers being covered up, was that entirely his fault based on the information that you have? Would be what I would ask you.
Well, I could tell you that his assistant, what's her name, DeRosa, Melissa DeRosa, I think, and
Mhm.
she's been featured in New Yorker magazine. She
Sorry,
told,
hang on, Teach, 1 second,
yeah.
because Carmen here, she took the courage to
I
I've
mean,
never
she
to
done
posted a
that.
comment and then she popped up.
yeah,
I don't believe she's new to shit.
look at that. Hey,
How you doing, lady?
nice to meet you, Carmen. I'm a newbie, and I know she's got some opinions in her head too. So go ahead, finish your thought up,
Yeah,
Teach.
finish your thought, man, please.
Yeah, no. So, you know, they as early as Monday, impeachment preparations can start. Um, if Cuomo wants to do this, he has until Friday, um, and uh, and then it'll be a media circus,
Yes,
and
it
he
will.
won't look good. Um, it's also possible that other women could come forward now in his weakened state, and say their truth, right? And of course, everybody at this point will be looking for a very high standard of corroborating evidence. There has been a criminal investigation started in White Plains, New York, because um, the trooper incident is supposed to have happened in Westchester County.
The delay, Carmen, shouldn't be much of a delay because we don't have a delay a lot, but sometimes there can be a little bit. What you could do is just refresh your browser and it'll take you out for a second and you'll come back, see if that catches it up.
She is so damn
Go
quick.
ahead, Tony. You probably had a
She
comment.
knows as she talks, and I love it. Some
She
people be like,
what?
let me do this here, let me do this there. As you're telling her she's done it. See, she's back already.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what
She's a pro. She's a ringer. She's a ringer. Carmen, did you say this was your first time doing this?
Yeah, I just joined HAPS. Can you hear me okay?
we hear
No,
you
we can't hear
excellent.
you at all.
Oh.
I'm kidding. Yes, you're
Oh,
fine. How could I, if I hear you? Sorry, I'm having fun with you. You just joined HAPS. Well, welcome.
Congratulations. Welcome.
yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
joined like 3 days ago, I think, or
Uh
four
huh.
days ago. And I'm seeing myself delayed, so I don't know if you're seeing me in real time.
No,
And I
you're fine. You're fine
okay,
for us.
okay, cool. So I just wanted to ask a question about the whole Cuomo thing. I mean, I love that you guys want to help me learn how to use this, but I think eventually I will. So, um, but here's my question as a woman from Boston. I think that's important for New
Bastin.
Yorkers.
Oh, Jesus.
Wait, wait, but I live in Los Angeles. I've been here for 20 years. So, um, but here's my question about the Cuomo thing. And please know I think he should resign and he should have done it a long time ago.
Okay.
However, I feel like he's so old school and not in a good way. Um, I don't think his intention was to do what he did, but it was still bad and wrong. Is that what people are feeling in New York, or do they really think he is like a molester and how's it going out there in New York? Like, what is the actual overall feeling of that? That is my question.
Well, just look no further than the cover of this morning's New York Post, where there's a picture of Cuomo and a woman who's blurred out, and it says "creep" on the cover, and all you really need to see is Cuomo's face. There's like a subheading that says this photo was taken moments after an inappropriate act, and you look at. So I'm just looking. I literally just looking in the bagel store, like I and then I look at the New York Post cover and I zoom in on Cuomo's eyes, and they're freaking bloodshot as ruby red cherries, at midnight. And I just texted my friend, "Wow, did you see this picture?" So it's not a great day in Cuomo land, and you know I think it's important to look at who is on his side right now, who is speaking out for him,
Is there
who
anybody?
That's a
or
hell of a
or,
point.
or, or any allies politically. And he was showing people's pictures in his response. He
Yeah, I
showed
saw
Al
that.
Sharpton in his picture in his response. Like, that is some of the worst pandering I've ever seen.
Okay, but can I jump in just as a woman who has experienced this? Not to say that I have more experience than anyone else, but I've been sexually assaulted like most women who exist. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. And I've also been, I can't believe I'm going to admit this to strangers, but I've also been date raped, right? So
Oh,
what I get upset about, or I get weary of, upset is the wrong word, is the muddying of the waters of what is sexual assault, what is sexual molestation, what is rape, only because I fear that men and a lot of other women might be confused or might diminish when somebody else comes forward. Did I say that right? Does that make any sense to you guys?
Let me jump in on this, please.
Okay.
There is no diminishing the understanding of what it is.
Okay.
When you say no, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Every law out
100%.
every law out there says the minute you say no, that's it. There are plenty of laws out there that say if you are under the influence, we will be guilty.
I mean,
I
it's
am
always
with
been
you,
my.
Breakthrough. Yeah, I'm gonna be a little controversial and all that good shit, Rev. So please forgive me, but no
Go
man
ahead,
out
man.
here condones what the hell happened to you, and a bunch of us would rather go look for them than you tell us the whole damn story. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
I
being
feel you.
honest with you. We don't. I'm retired Air National Guard. I had to
Amen.
do 3 different sexual assault courses in the course
Mhm.
of a year, and I swore after that last one, if anybody did it, I was gonna beat their ass because I'm tired of hearing about
Mhm.
it. Every
Mhm.
sexual assault law has 10 different specifications to it, pretty
Mhm.
much to the point where if you ain't married, you're guilty. I'm gonna just go ahead and throw it out there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even if you agree to it, we damn near guilty. So the thing with what he's saying about Cuomo, we got a lot of accusations, unfortunately, and I do mean unfortunately. Women who were in the previous position that you were in have to diabolically, unequivocally, absolutely prove that it happened, other than this is what happened.
Mhm.
That's the
Mhm.
hardest part about going to court for women. That's why I don't even like the shit that's going on. But like he said, there's enough evidence out there. There's plenty of accusations. When the testimonies come out, they're going to publicize it. So that's embarrassing on the woman, and it's bullshit to him if he didn't do it. However, everybody needs to know what's going on because he's a public figure with this stuff in his head. And if you stand too close to somebody, you're damn near guilty these days. But what you have gone through is nonsense. There is no confusion. You're on
Mhm.
a date. You've been drinking. First of all, if a woman's drunk, I ain't touching her. She gonna wake up fully dressed, and I'm gonna be on the couch looking at her. She gonna be like, "What happened?" I'm gonna say nothing. Go check yourself. I'll be right here.
Well, but
But
it's not the good guys that I'm worried about ever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the problem. It's not
right,
the guys who get it and know. I get worried about people who find ways to get confused and not be as adamant against it. So when I hear what's happening with Cuomo, and look at, I saw that, I saw his kind of. I live here in Santa Monica in kind of basically Hollywood land. I loved the lighting, the fog in the back, kind of like, I mean, it was so well produced, his response, and I thought, oh my God, that's even worse. Like what he did was worse. And
Yeah, the
such bad
response.
PR on so many levels.
Let me
But
see if I can find that.
The thing about
Yeah,
him
Rev,
is
it's
he's
worth it
old
if you could
school.
find it. I
Like
mean,
you said.
you don't want to hear all the part where he's talking. You want to see all these pictures and
Yeah. We'll see if we can
right.
I
kind of
mean,
scroll through it or
what
something.
he
Let me
did,
download it.
what he did basically was he said that there was cultural shifts and there was generational shifts,
Right.
and that every time he did this, it was an expression of warmth, right? And he said that the people were taking this in the wrong way, and then he made specific replies about specific women, but he never mentioned anything about the trooper in his reply, and it seems like he was completely caught off guard. And I was telling Rev, this was the first time I heard or anybody publicly heard about this trooper, and it's really insulting because that was part of his personal detail to guard him, on the taxpayers' time, and he was, philandering. And the woman, this might be the first case ever in New York State of a female guard you know, having the nerve to come forward and coming in this class of women who are all, you know, corroborated. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have made it into the list.
But here's my thing. Can we, I don't want to say that. Is it possible? This is how I see. I think two things can be true. He is old school in a bad way, not in a good way. And he is doing things that used to be acceptable.
That's
But what I
one.
was upset about was that he needs to understand that they're wrong. Like
Yes.
he's wrong. Just stop doing it.
Most
Don't do
people
it
who
anymore.
are over in that age group,
Move
yes,
on.
you're correct. Most people in that age group need to understand that what's going on and what they used to do isn't legal anymore. I have to agree with that because that's exactly what's going on in society. A lot of the old practice now are seen as chauvinistic or sexist. We have to come to terms with that, honestly.
Well, it's
I
what I
think
said either to teach before we went on the air or during the beginning of the show is that shit. I haven't done this for a while. I lost my train of thought there because this thing was downloading. So anyway, I found the video. I'll see if I can. I might try and break it up into a short clip or something. So, but keep it going. But the whole old school and all of this, it comes down to he just should have fucking known better at a certain point. I knew that the actions that I used to take, with women when I was younger, that I might have thought were charming, were sometimes, and sometimes they definitely weren't. And at some point, I'm 55 years old. It was probably when I was in my early 20s. I figured out a lot of shit that teenage boys do and think, isn't right. And every freaking decade that's gone by, I've kind of kept up with the news of, what it means to continue to be a feminist and everything else. It's like not that fucking hard for Cuomo to see that shit as well. And what I was going to say before is not that he needs a high price madam. There are fucking services that match people, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? Like, there's no fucking sexual harassment in somebody going out with a date, wanting to go on a date with you with your coffee lunch thing service that you paid for. And if you flirt fucking horribly, she doesn't go out with you again, but you're safe. I mean, if you don't want to put your fucking face on Tinder, then get a freaking arranged lunch goddamn thing. What a fucking idiot this guy is.
The arranged lunches will get you in trouble too nowadays.
Well, Tony, I'm not gonna. There's a lot. There's a lot to reckon
We
with
gotta
all of
look
that
at all
stuff
that
for
shit. Yeah, we gotta
sure.
look at all that shit. Even the politicians are getting fried for
But
legal
yeah,
stuff.
but he certainly, could have kept it in his pants,
Absolutely,
metaphorically.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, well, we have
Oh, we lost you, Carmen. We
Your
can't hear
audio
you for
went out,
some
Carmen.
reason.
yeah, so
Uh,
I don't
Go
even
ahead,
see
Teach.
her. I didn't even see her
yeah,
to mute. Go
Cuomo,
ahead, man.
Cuomo had the last 5 months, which meant that he passed the budget, which meant he had a lot of control over everybody, knowing what these women represented. I'll say that. And there was 5 months of planning and scheming, and and getting defenses, and he actually got his allies, a law firm, made as the lead investigator in the Assembly impeachment investigation right from day one 5 months ago. And so everybody considered that that was going to be, if not, stonewalled, then stalled at every minute. And they were basically just waiting for Letitia James. Everything came down to her, And then, when she made the announcement, um, it stiffened everybody's spine. And now the Assembly and the Senate and, every county executive and every, Democrat and Republican in the entire congressional delegation, both senators, Gillibrand and Schumer, who was the majority leader in the Senate, and Gillibrand has been there for more than 10 years now. These are very big responses. The teachers union, said resign. Every political group I'm involved in is put out a statement that he should resign.
Yes,
Um,
I've
so
seen that. It's mainly because of the stigma against them. It's not a good look in politics, plain and simple.
right.
Whether
Well,
he's guilty or not, and that's the problem I have right now. No disrespect to what you said, Carmen, and even what you even talked about going through. The stigma is enough to ruin you in politics, whether you're guilty or not. That's the part that I got a problem with, honestly.
I'm right there with you. I agree. Can you
Yes.
guys hear me now? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
you're
Yeah,
good,
we
lady. You're
can.
good.
And Tony D, I think that's a very that's an issue that needs to be continued to be worked out and spoken to and thought of. And I think all of this is so new that your frustration is definitely to be expected. I think I did say it at the on the air. Maybe it was again before the show, but when white men have been fucking people over for 400 years, somebody's got to pay the price. And
How much
so
time we
you
got on that
know
one?
that, yeah, you know what I mean? So put it in that context of, well, thank you, great great grandfather, for,
Shit.
fucking people over. And now I'm getting fucked over because you were a fuck that got this whole thing going. So there is just going to be that damage. That damage is just going to come. There will be people like, remember Al Franken, for God's sakes, the guy. Now, it did come out actually that, he didn't touch anybody, obviously, in that picture. There was some stuff there towards the end about him maybe inappropriately squeezing some women's butts, or
he,
something.
he
But
said he said on some of those he couldn't remember, and so he couldn't confirm or deny. So he just took the rap.
right, no, but he took the rap. But like what he did pales, obviously, to what Cuomo did, and beyond. But there is just going to be some blowback, Tony. It is the way that it is when misogynistic motherfuckers from colonial countries that are pasty white fuck with people for 400 years. Their descendants are going to get shit on, and that's just the way that it is.
I think we're at a
So,
point now where
and
we
men,
almost
you may be black and I'm white, but we're both men, so we're going to get shit on for that stuff too, where it's the blowback.
we're gonna get shit
Hey,
on
Rev.
regardless. We also got to look at this situation being people in power getting shitted on right now. It's not even so much about race. If you're in a position of power, you're in a position of control, you are going to get chastised or blamed for something. And it's going to be harder for you to prove it due to your position and due to the actions that people say you are able to do at the moment that you're going to have to pay the consequences for later.
Yep.
Yeah, it's probably always been the case to some extent, I suppose, with politicians. And
Yes.
just to be clear, I'm not defending my knucklehead ancestors who got us here, and I'd like to go back in time and kick their motherfucking ass, and set them straight. But I like seeing you
So,
laugh up there, Tony.
so, so
Go
Rev,
ahead, teach.
so you could look at this as the revenge of the women right now, because if Kathy Hochul takes over, it'll be the first time in New York State history that we have a female governor. Even though Zephyr and Cynthia Nixon lost,
Mm-hmm.
it was historic, attempts at the time. And the majority leader, Andrew Stu Cousins, has been the female in the room of three for the last I don't know, like 6 years now or something. And she was elevated from state senator, to the leadership of the Democratic Conference. And she's good. So that's two females in the room, and then the Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie from the Bronx is a African American male and father, a public school parent in the Bronx. So you know, it's going to be a big change to the entire state without Cuomo there. And there's a lot of questions about Kathy Hochul and how conservative she is as a Democrat from Buffalo.
Oh, I'm
So
looking through the Cuomo footage here, guys. So keep the dialogue going. See if I can. Are these pictures cut throughout the thing? Or are they like in one spot, do you think?
yeah, when he starts saying about how he's just a touchy feely guy, I mean, those are my
And
words.
and then
Let me stop right there. The fact that he even said that, he needs to go ahead and plead no contest.
Right. I mean, isn't it lame when they get to the point where they start to point out other cases of other people? Well,
That
Biden snipped
is an
somebody's
old
hair,
1980s
and this
phrase.
one, and
It is
Bobby did it too.
2021. You
right,
can't say that
right.
shit in 2021. You used to say that shit in the 80s to get away with it. The minute you say that, just plead no contest. You got no case. Because physical
And
contact is enough for a crime.
and Tony, you're right, because he could have walked away 5 months ago when this investigation was announced. There were
Yeah.
and the assembly investigation was announced, but
Well, he
he
wasn't going to
decided.
step down if he wasn't guilty, and I don't blame him. If you didn't do it, I'm not mad at you. But
But
shit like that, you're
he
fried.
knew this was going to happen. He
Yes,
took up all of our time,
I got
and
you.
and he passed the
No,
budget.
that's actually my argument. That is my argument. If he had said everything he said in his video and then ended with, but I want to do what's in the best interest of New York and the people that I've represented and this country, I'm going to step down. I would have been like, okay, good. Move on. You said your piece, you defended yourself, whether I believe you or not, doesn't matter. You did your thing and you moved on. But that's my problem with him. If he's really the person that he's always pretended to be, he would do what's in the best interest of New York. And that's not what he's doing. That's what I'm angry about.
He's got a name to defend because his name is pretty powerful in New York. I
His
remember
name
that
ain't that
name.
powerful now. It's
Not
done.
now, no, but I remember when I was a child in New York. I think his dad was the governor or the mayor or some shit like that.
Governor.
Yes, I remember that name. I don't blame him for defending his name. Like I said, if he's innocent, stand your motherfucking ground. But bruh, it don't look good right now. You know what I'm
Oh, I
saying?
think I found the photos. Yep. Here we go. All right.
He
Let me
dropped
cut
out.
this here.
Did I piss him off?
What?
Did I piss him
Daily
off?
Debunker
Oh
jumped up.
no, probably not.
No.
Okay.
I was just giving it some advice on the wire on the what do you call it, the texting
Yeah.
thing, my phone,
Yeah.
not to be careful not to sound like a victim. Yeah, I know that's something I have
Well,
to
we
be
gotta look at both
cognizant
sides
of
of what's
as
going on. This
well.
isn't even about being a victim, but if you got enough evidence against somebody, it probably look like they're going to lose. But I cannot condone anybody. I cannot be mad at anybody who's trying to defend themselves because we all have that right in the first place.
That's
If
fair.
you're innocent, stand your damn ground. I don't care what the evidence is against you because you actually might beat it, especially if they're lying. And you know, lies spread faster than truth. We're all living it all day.
Yeah, but his whole story, I mean, I agree with you, but he should resign because his story is taking up all of New York's time now and everyone else's time.
I've
And
heard.
if he really
And
cares,
his story isn't the only one taking up everybody's time because the other boy, your other boy, is taking up all the time too.
who's the other boy? Who's the other boy? I don't know who the
You
other boy is.
know, our former president. He's all still in the news too.
Yeah, but he's just having a birthday party. That's okay.
He's they.
Oh, you're talking about Trump?
Yes.
Oh, I was talking about Obama. I didn't know what you were talking about.
No. Obama ain't going nowhere.
I'm like, he's having a birthday party. What are you talking about?
He's having a birthday party. No, but a lot of the guys who were prominent last year are still in the news right now. Cuomo's still in the news. Trump's still in the news. I've seen Giuliani still pop up in the news every now and then. A lot of the old politicians.
That is a sad story.
Dude, I mean, the news got boring for a minute. So to me, they started bringing back some of the old topics that was going to bring the numbers back. That's what I'm saying. That's just what I'm saying.
Bringing back some of the hits.
Yeah. Since COVID's back, let's bring the people back who were prevalent knowing COVID. Let's just keep on. Let's go.
Wow. But Giuliani is a really sad story just altogether. And I'm curious what New Yorkers think of Giuliani.
You know,
the thing with me, I'm glad you're back. Did I do something wrong? Did I make you drop out the broadcast?
I know, we were sad. We were so sad you dropped out. Oh, he can't hear us. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Yeah, I don't know. My apps crashed, and so I took a quick bathroom break.
That happens.
Good for you. Well, let's PTR. Let's pull to refresh here for a second. Let's let everybody know who we are, what we're talking about. My name is Revolution McInnes. Ostensibly, this is the big interview, but that's because the big interview is on Wednesday nights. But we're talking to Tony D and Carmen the newbie, like we really believe that, and Teach or Daily Debunker. No, you're just doing great, Carmen, and you're picking it up really fast. And you should have your own show, I think, as well.
You need to hurry up. I want to watch this shit. You need to hurry up.
And just a quick, everybody, remember, Scooch Case, scoochcase.com. Buy their cases. Send them an email. Tell them you like their case because, I'm hawking their stuff. So buy Scooch Case. They're good cases. We're going to show the Cuomo clip here, I think. Yes. This should just be the quick montage of, he starts with, well, you'll hear it.
The woman told the press that she took offense at the gesture. And for that, I apologize. Another woman stated that I kissed her on the forehead at our Christmas party and that I said, "Ciao, Bella." Now, I don't remember doing it, but I'm sure that I did. I do kiss people on the forehead.
Okay, this is a long pause.
Wait, they didn't hold it that long, did they?
No, it's too long.
Something happened. Okay, let's get that off of there.
He's guilty. Fuck it.
That's his poor mother, I think. Yeah, I trimmed that longer than that. I don't know what happened, folks, but
let me be honest.
Anyway,
somebody on the forehead, that's not.
I see if I can fix it, and we'll keep chatting.
I'm trying to figure out why that's offensive, unless she is a French or that wasn't what it. I don't fucking know.
Oh, here we go. I see my mistake.
Oh, okay. Are you putting it on again, or?
Yeah, I'll get it back in a minute. You guys keep chatting.
Okay, here's my thing about the kiss on the forehead. That has happened to me. I cannot tell you how many times. It's a power position thing. You don't have any recourse when somebody is your boss or somebody is a celebrity. Like if you and I just
seriously, Carmen, when is the last time? And I'm sure this happens all the time, but I don't know if I've ever kissed anybody on the forehead. Try not to be a victim here, but
no, okay.
the who the fuck kisses somebody on the forehead post 1982?
You
Thank
want
Like,
the truth? You want the truth? That's a custom
yeah,
in some
huh?
places. That's a custom in some
So
places.
he's Italian, and I'm
Yeah.
Latina.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
I'm
just
Latina.
because he's Italian, but the custom is misogynistic bullshit, patriarchal
Exactly.
bullshit, doesn't
Yeah,
justify that the Italians have been doing it for 1,000
Plus
years.
it's COVID. Don't kiss no damn body. It's COVID. Stop kissing people, all of y'all.
Okay, but wait. So here's the thing. I am
the Roman
Latina.
Empire is roaming all over the place.
Right.
And look at there is a lot of cultural things that happen that we all say is machismo or whatever. But you're right. That's why, like, it doesn't matter. It isn't 1984, and that excuse is irrelevant. And he should know better. He's not that old. What is he, like 60 or so? He's not
Fucking
that old.
Stop. He's old Italian. He was born and raised old Italian. He's kissing every fucking body. But let's be clear. It's COVID. You could be sued for kissing people now. I'm sorry. That shit I'm gonna throw out there. It's fucking COVID. You shouldn't be kissing nobody
I'm
since
just
last
saying,
year. Stop
it's
that
happened
shit.
to me many times, and the problem
I
with
can
it,
imagine, right?
regardless of the cultural part of it, is when somebody is in a position of power, you feel cornered. You can't
Yes.
do anything because you feel like if you do something wrong, you'll be reprimanded, you'll be fired, you might lose your
Blackball,
job.
all that
And
shit.
that's
Yeah.
a real thing. And I assume some men have had that experience in other ways as well.
Sure.
Like, you don't need to, be called the N-word to understand or have empathy for racism. And in the same respects, you don't have to be sexually abused or harassed to understand what I'm talking about. But there
Hey,
is a power dynamic that happens that is real. And that's what's happening with these women.
and
If I could jump in on that, Ref, and I
oh yeah, go ahead,
apologize.
Tony. I'm
What she
just
said,
saying.
Go, Tony.
what she
Go, Tony.
said was, you don't have to be. You worry about being reprimanded or blackballed. Anybody in the professional workforce right now has gone through some type of sexual harassment or sexual assault training, or inappropriate behavior on the job.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to do it
It
every
needs to be in
year.
that line. First
Yeah,
of
you're
all,
a
you can
teacher.
give
You do it
somebody.
all the time, right?
I'm just
Every
saying.
year we have
You
to
can.
do,
You
and
can.
people just sign the form that I watched it. It's like I actually watched it every year, and it's literally like 6 hours. And like I try to listen to it when I'm doing stuff, but nobody listens to it because it's like, we all had to listen to it live in person, and then every year after that we have to sign that we listen to it again,
Yeah.
and they could change half the stuff in there.
Well,
And people don't
and I
realize it.
don't.
So what makes you guilty
Again,
once you sign it because you listen to it? He don't even know the crime's coming against him.
oh, here's Renee. Is that
Renee
her?
Barone, yeah, it's
My
cool.
screen is
Barone.
too small here.
Renee
Is saying that
Barone.
Tony's correct, and the Italians have known are the same older Italians. Oh, the Italians I've known are the same older Italians, and he should have known better. Bottom line, 100%. Should have just known better. Bottom line, no question about it. And I will say that men, be whatever they be, good or bad, whatever. Men have known what the word fucking no means for a long time as well, and they have chosen to disregard the no in a lot of cases. But even 150 years ago, 200 years ago, when 400 years ago, they knew what they were fucking doing was wrong.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Hey, Rev.
What a man said about
yeah.
women coming in, the revenge of the woman coming in power, I 100% agree. I do not mean to be chauvinistic, but that is what we are seeing. And based on what we are
Yeah.
taught, based on what we were taught in the 70s and 80s, they deserve it. Nothing has ever been taught where women were supposed to be in power, and now they actually have a chance to come out of an educated oppression. And that's what's going on. Somebody please tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, Tony, one thing, and I want to ask both the Carmen, Tony, and Rev too, what your perception has been about the fact that he went out and became a media sensation in the middle of the pandemic, and he chose that time to project like, leadership and strength, and he got all of these write-ups, and they, and some of it was obviously, stage managed. And then we found out at that time he was pushing a book. He got like $3 million or $2 million or something, and now he's being investigated for promoting his book using taxpayer time.
I think that's
And
more
that's a whole
promoting.
separate investigation that is going to take weeks more to unwind, to have an announcement. Maybe they'll hurry it up now, but um, how have you only guys heard like, great things about him? Because, at the same time, we all wanted to compare him to Trump, who
Not
was
really. Not really.
like, 10 times worse, with the disinfectant and everything. Um, but it costs lives. We laugh, but it does cost lives. Scientifically speaking, these guys could have taken action sooner, and they could have taken actions
Mm-hmm.
better, and they could have done the Defense Production Act.
I don't know.
So
I don't know where to fall with. Um, I know where to fall with Trump. Meteor splat, but the but with I mean, I got to give you, knowing when to make the call, when, and who's informing you, and all of that. I mean, I don't think you can say that Cuomo didn't do good things during the COVID crisis. Um, I'm quite sure he did do good things, and the nursing home scandal, that's different to some extent, but not knowing when to push what button and do what thing, that's a little hard for me to kind of play that game a little bit. If it's reasonable, obviously with a guy like Trump, look how quickly we went from, um, it was 6 months with, obviously there's the Delta crap, and this is really now a virus of the unvaccinated. But look how quickly we got ourselves out of it in a big way in 6 fucking months because it was a concerted effort. So
How
if
much
we'd
time
have
we got
had
on that one?
rational people in power instead of Trump, then this would not have been the crisis that it was, because we were these cures, these drugs. These were preloaded. They were already there.
Yes. Yes.
It was going to happen. So yeah, we should have jumped on it earlier. But yeah, I mean, I have
hey
heard.
Rev,
Yeah,
a little New York history. Um, Cuomo's greatest accomplishment is probably the marriage, same-sex marriage. He led the nation on that, and then the Supreme Court made it the law of the land, and that's the biggest feather in his cap, probably. And almost everything else is controversial because he's had corporate donors from day one and very shady practices.
I can feel it. I can understand that.
And
I give
and
you that.
and
I'll give you that.
his
I can give
baggage,
you that.
and then and about 6 years ago, his one of his top aides was convicted of corruption, and some other aides were convicted too. And one guy went to jail for 6 years, and he did not
Excuse me.
say whether or not Cuomo knew about the crimes.
well, there was some, but he paid off
It's tough.
there, right? Let's play the. Well, you guys answer his question
Yeah, I was about to
about
say we didn't answer
Cuomo
his
and what
question. I
you've
forgot
heard.
half of it already. My apologies.
What's that, Tony?
I forgot half of his question
Oh,
already.
well, no worries. We'll re-ask
Oh,
the question, but
I absolutely remember his question, and I'm ready
Go
to.
ahead, Carmen. Carmen,
did you
please go
ready?
for it.
Okay. Well, let's show the little because I almost fucking laughed when he said I kissed people on the head, and I'm like, they're really going to show him kissing somebody on the fucking head here? Like, who produced this? His grandson? Okay, here we go.
Oh shit.
The woman told the press that she took offense at the gesture. And for that, I apologize. Another woman stated that I kissed her on the forehead at our Christmas party and that I said, "Ciao, Bella."
Which is
Now,
by
I don't
beautiful.
remember doing it, but I'm sure that I did. I do kiss people on the forehead. I do kiss people on the cheek. I do kiss people on the hand. I do embrace people. I do hug people, men and women. I do on occasion say, ciao Bella. On occasion, I do slip and say sweetheart or darling or honey. I do banter with people. I do tell jokes, some better than others. I am the same.
Okay.
Why you cut him off? It was getting good.
Oh,
I
well, I
like
was just
him.
trying to show the.
I'm
Jesus.
gonna, I'm gonna explain from my point of view the stardom from the West Coast, how he came to be in my vision and what I think most people saw in the
Mhm.
country and you know what? I'm so sorry. I don't know Daily Debunker's real name. I'm so sorry.
Uh,
What's your
oh
name?
yeah. I go by Bernie in here, but that's obviously not my
Bernie.
name.
Oh, you want
Yeah.
me to call you teacher? Okay,
Yeah.
teacher. Okay.
The reason why my Twitter handle is Bernie TV NY is because when Bernie ran in 2016, a bunch of people came together and they volunteered to make something called Bernie TV, and I was the New York Twitter handle
Oh, honey,
person for a little while.
you and I are gonna have some battles because I went to college at UVM, and we're gonna talk about Bernie Sanders at another time.
That's fine.
Full
That's fine.
response,
It's all
Governor.
good. It's all good. But here's my thing about Governor Cuomo. So during COVID, Governor Cuomo and Governor Gavin Newsom, who's the governor here in California, were kind of the go-to people because remember, Trump was nothing. Nobody was talking from the administration, and if they were, nobody was believing them. And I have to tell you something, teacher, that I think made Governor Cuomo even bigger was when Randy Rainbow did that really hilarious you know who Randy Rainbow is? Do you guys know who he is?
I do.
It's like a TikTok sensation or something.
Well, I mean,
What?
he's a comedian, but he did like this whole thing about loving the Cuomos and loving Andrew Cuomo, and it just went it just went on fire. It was hilarious. It was very funny. It was very loving to Andrew Cuomo, but I think that also brought up his kind of stature on TikTok, on Facebook, on all the social media, and everybody was listening to him, and everybody was listening to Gavin Newsom because there was a void of leadership in the administration, right? There was no one talking at the administration about COVID. So from our point of view, he was the hard-nosed, cool, on point, strong. We weren't hearing all the details and all the things that you knew in New York. We were hearing
Yeah.
all the really good stuff. And we were, just like Rudy Giuliani, we were, back in the New York days when we had 9/11, we were all hungry for leadership. And so we would take anything that looked like leadership and we hung on to it. So the nursing home stuff and all that stuff that happened afterwards, we heard it, but we were like, oh, but still, he's really good. So we're going to listen to him. That's kind of
Yeah.
what happened until the women
Well,
came out. So I just wanted to give you that perspective.
Now, for
yeah.
me,
Well,
Cuomo,
in New York,
go ahead.
in New York, the day to day has been that he's been, corrupt
Yeah.
and sometimes incompetent. As you know, the nursing home thing is as a policy that led directly to deaths, and everybody's pointing fingers on that. But just the fact that he let the virus into the country, we were the biggest explosion of virus in the whole country, especially at the beginning, and the world at one point. And um, it was preventable if they would have locked down the airports and they would have just started screening people,
I
at
know, but
least in.
you're blaming him for that, but he was blaming Trump, and most of us will believe him over Trump. So I hear you because now we can
Yeah.
look to 2020, but back then the choices were believe what he says or believe Trump.
Well, they were both doing
Yes.
the same thing. Like, what we know now is that we were just letting the virus in, and that
Mhm.
and the same way we're consciously deciding to let the variant spread right now. These are all conscious decisions that that other countries have dealt with results like everybody points to New Zealand. They got the cases down to zero, and then you got which is a whole country which is on the island, and then a country as big as China got the cases down to statistically zero, but they had very strong arm
Mhm.
ways of
Well, you
doing
don't
it.
what they did to do that. I mean, it's not just strong arm is the word plus, because they literally have like they can lock everybody's fucking door and you can't unlock it from the inside. So thousands of Chinese people probably starved to death in their apartments to do that. I mean, it was draconian what they did. I bought masks in January, February ish. When the reports, whenever the first reports were coming,
March,
I
February, March.
I went
Yeah.
out and bought masks. Did I have any idea it was going to be really bad? Did I have any evidence? No, but I've never bought masks before either when one of these things was happening. So I got lucky, and I still I don't know how to. Again, it's easily delineated with Trump. With me, he was he was evil. They were all evil. They should all be flogged, and they should all be then burned and their ashes shot into space. But all
Jesus
metaphorically, of
Christ. I
course.
never thought about that.
And
Damn.
the
Fuck this. Ugh.
um
You're so fucking graphic.
and the the just they should, like, I don't know how you'd go after Pritzker here in Illinois. I mean, I think he did the absolute best job that he could do given the evidence that he had at the time. And I can't remember, was it Newsom in California that went first, then Cuomo, then Pritzker? I mean, they were all fairly close. Yes, we should have locked the whole country down
I think
in
the mayor of San Francisco. I think the mayor of San Francisco
Yeah,
was the
right.
biggest for the biggest big city. Um, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're sometimes you're guessing, and you can guess wrong too. And they have never
Mhm.
lived through this.
But the thing is
So
that
you got to give a little bit of.
if you stop a virus by acting quickly, it will appear that you fucked up because there was nothing was happening.
Mhm.
So I mean, you really can't win in this situation, I don't think.
Let me jump in on this too,
Um,
please. Only because I got to go to bed in a minute. I got to get up in the morning. The question you asked about Cuomo and Trump, I know what Carmen is saying. I didn't see it necessarily along those lines. I do admit that more people wanted to hear Cuomo than Trump, especially when everybody found out the two of them were beefing. She's
Mhm.
correct on that.
Mhm.
I don't
it's
blame
still
him.
binary.
It was minor. I give you that. Understanding where you're coming from, I give you that. I don't blame Cuomo for the virus coming into the country directly,
Mhm.
even though JFK is one of the
No,
busiest airports in the country. I got that.
right.
But
And LaGuardia.
in LaGuardia, now let me tell you about LaGuardia. Last year, I had to fly up there 3 times for funerals, January and February. I'm glad they didn't shut LaGuardia down. And where I stayed at in Queens was one of the hot spots for the
Queens
pandemic when it
was,
started.
yeah,
Because I
Corona
was in,
Queens.
yeah, I had to go to Queens. I had to come to Queens 3 times. My father died, my grandfather died, and
Oh,
died all
Sorry to
within
hear that,
6 weeks
man.
of each other.
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
I
Sorry.
appreciate it. It fucking killed me. I'll be here all day. But I'm glad it didn't shut down. But we stayed in what's that fucking place? Something Gardens.
Kew Gardens.
Uh, who? No, not Kew Gardens. When you see the list of the cities, well, the parts of Queens that was one of the hotspots last year,
Uh-huh.
I stayed right in that area, and I didn't find out until after we came back because I was like, "Fuck." Um,
Yeah. Well, Queens, one of
New
the
York
big.
was a hotspot for the country. I won't say it's a hotspot for the globe. It was one of the hotspots for the country. Everything was centered on New York. I think they put that on Cuomo more than he was trying to gas himself up. You would have to
Yeah,
tell me
they
wrong on that, being that you've covered that medium more than anything. As far as the difference between the two of them, people couldn't stand Trump for a while. We knew that before he became president, and it got worse once he started running. Nobody really had a problem with Cuomo until this shit started popping up that we know of who are outside of New York. For
Mm-hmm.
you to be in New York and telling us everything, we appreciate it because this is shit we do not know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got family up there. I've called family up there all last year during the pandemic. People were loving him because he was handling this, he was handling that. The nursing home situation, I can see where you're coming from because you're giving me another side of what we were seeing. We knew the elderly were dying. We knew how everything was locking down. We already knew that they had underlying conditions that was going to make us susceptible to the virus, which is pretty much going to cost them their lives. My grandfather was 94 when he died last year, right when this shit started. My dad was a diabetic with heart disease. He died right when this shit started. My sister had a seizure. She was in a whole nother state. She died right when all this shit started. None of it was
Wow,
COVID
all
related.
that.
However,
Sorry,
all this
man.
shit happened at the same goddamn time. You see what I'm saying? I think he's in the center of what happened more than I can blame him for making it happen. You would have to prove me wrong. You would have to tell me wrong based on the information that you have. This is what we are seeing from outside the box, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the
Well,
thing with
the
Trump and how he handled the pandemic, he said himself he wasn't going to do it according to the plan that they already had in place. He was going to do it another way because it was cheaper and it was going to cost the people less. We lost 250,000, 500,000 people off of that. Everybody's
right,
mad at him for that. Right now, we're doing what the government planned on doing, and we're still losing people per day. I don't know which
yeah.
one was going to be right. Fuck it. Everybody get your health up. I'm going to start. That's my COVID rant for the day. The statement that was put in here with
Renee agrees with you.
Whoop, whoop.
yes, I saw that. Oh, what was his name? I think William Cruz put up there. The CDC just reported that vaccinated people can spread the Delta virus. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something. Rev, this is when I start to go off. I apologize. I ain't talked to you in 6 months, but goddamn it, this may be reason why, but I'm going to help you out. Look, whether you're vaccinated or not, you're going to catch it. You're going to spread it. Stop the bullshit. Plain and simple. That's it. Whether you're
No, I
vaccinated or
mean,
not,
I
you
don't
are
think
going to catch
that's
it,
no
and you are going to
surprise to
spread it.
me.
Isn't it
And
me?
by the way, folks, I've had the Pfizer 3 times.
Shit.
Wait, why 3?
I got my 3rd dose Friday
But
just
why?
Booster.
because I wanted to
Booster.
give myself, first of all, most people don't know that people that are obese, the efficacy of your vaccine is from 50% to 0. All right.
Oh,
And the dosing is, made. Why do they have different doses for babies than the adults? Because that dose will fucking the adult dose, it'll fuck them up, the adult dose. But they don't make a dose for fat people like me. And so they're just giving you an average dose. Like, yeah, just give you the average shoe size. Okay, that'll work, right? So I got my 3rd. Actually, I had a reporter that wants to interview me about it. I think he's out of East
yeah,
Coast
because
here. He
it's
sent me a
early.
tweet.
It's early for
But
anybody to get their 3rd dose. You fucking
I got my
everybody up.
3rd, and that's my booster. I mean, I researched it. I talked to some doctors. Like they didn't endorse it, but they didn't say it was probably going to drop dead. It certainly wasn't going to make it worse, and it probably makes it better. So I just jumped on it and did it. I took my own initiative because I already know that my dosing is going to be incorrect, and I'll take the 4th dose. I'll go get the 4th one in 21 days, and I'm not going to worry about it a bit. I did want the Moderna, but it was everybody in Chicago. It's just Pfizer. In 3 months, if they're not giving boosters, will I get the Moderna? Probably.
Okay, wait. So can we just say for people that are listening, can we just reiterate what you just said? This is something you chose to do. You spoke to your own doctors, but this is not anything that the CDC recommends.
No.
Let's just be really up because look,
Well said, Carmen. Well
I
said, Carmen. Well said.
just want to make sure that we're clear on that because I don't want the other extreme. I don't want people thinking now they need to go get 3 shots when that is not what the CDC is recommending, right?
No, 100%. Am I a doctor? Do I play a doctor? I know doctors, but I am not speaking on behalf of any doctors or any specific endorsement of doing it. This is something I did because I felt that it would be beneficial to me, and I would say that everybody would have to make their own judgment and do their own research.
Absolutely. Now let me finish up because like I said, I got to go. Everybody needs to be careful of what's going on. Everybody needs to be careful of the information we got. The bunker, I appreciate you for giving us information we do not know. I'm not going to criticize you. I don't have nothing wrong with you telling me, because you're telling me something we don't have an aspect on. And I do thank you for that, because most of us up here do not have the information that you have. Please keep teaching everybody. Please keep telling everybody. Please keep letting them know what they're not seeing. One thing I want to do up here is have the information that we're not seeing brought to us. Nobody knows exactly where to look, and everything on the internet can fuck you up. If you right there and you're getting that real truth, this conversation that the two of you are having is outstanding. Carmen, you are not new to this app. I think you're a liar. You came
Tony
up
D,
here
my
fast.
friend, good to see you.
You too, man. I know it's been a minute. I appreciate everybody up here. Helga, I see you over there. I'm gonna talk with you tomorrow. I know how you get. Everybody up here, appreciate y'all. Holler at me anytime. I will probably
Good
be on
talking,
tomorrow
Tony.
night. I'll go
Yeah,
live.
great to see you,
Everybody
man.
jump on
Really
here,
good to see you.
convo. Any and everybody up here, for real, please. Good talking to y'all. And I'll talk to you later, man.
Helga,
All right.
look, I'm not going to debate with you about vaccine or no vaccine, but the only people that are dying, if you believe anything that is said by the government or the media, because if you don't believe any of that, then there's no point. But if you believe any of that any of those folks are saying, the only people that are dying are the people that aren't vaccinated. And that's just the way it is. You can make your own judgment on what you want to do. And some people may not want to take it because they think it could hurt them in specific health cases. But I will say, again, from every bit of research and everything I did, these drugs that came out with Moderna and Pfizer had been well researched and I'm 100%, like, I'm so far to the left. I think, we should do everything we can to just make sure we fart flowers and live in peace, right? And capitalism dies, all right? And I think big pharma is evil, but these medicines, I think, especially the RNA based ones, are fairly safe. I don't have a third eye or a third arm yet. And yeah, just keep it safe, though. I'm not jumping on you at all, Helga. Just sending you love. And yeah. And I mean, if I get a third nipple, I'll pull my shirt up and I'll show all you guys right away. So.
No, and I just want to be clear. I'm an advocate for people getting vaccinated. I just want to make sure because I'm vaccinated.
Oh no, that was good. That was a good point.
And wait, hey, by the way, I have Moderna, which for some reason you're jealous of. I hear, right? Like,
well, I just wanted to mix it up.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're crazy. I can tell you're crazy, and I love you already. So.
Well, I will say this, because I bet I know Teach probably wants to talk a little bit more about the politics yes. Here, but I will say this: I'm not worried about it. I think it is all fine, but I did kind of think, shit. My wife knows that if I don't wake up, she can warn everybody that it was a mistake. But no, I'm comfortable with my decision.
Okay, fair. Okay, Teach, we miss your voice. Yell at me about
something. Yeah, I'm just looking at my feed here because I have, I'm Rev knows I'm very specific to education, and that's like my topic. We did when I first started coming on here and I met Rev, I was referred by somebody named Kim Carolina. And
okay.
we hit it off for a while, but it was right at the time where they were claiming election fraud, and I was covering all day long any evidence that was coming forward in any of these cases in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, and then all of the day-to-day developments about that, and which led to January 6th and beyond. But that's when I was we were really kicking it with Rev, and we had a bunch of people. Like, I haven't heard from our buddy. My gun is quick, but
oh, he has been all over. Just so you know, he's been all over that thing like Clubhouse, but it was on Twitter. I always see him on there.
Oh, yeah.
He moved over to that. But anyway,
right. Yeah,
I
did one of those with him.
What's it called? Spaces. Yeah.
Spaces, yeah.
Yeah. His handle was Blue Strat.
Yeah.
So that was cool, and we kind of drifted. I see Rev is getting busy, and he does like all different topics now. But my beat is education, so I'm supposed to be writing an article like by this weekend about a reopening of schools and all of the aspects. And I was actually interviewed for local TV tonight, which I'm gonna see if I taped it, if it worked. Um, but they want to know from teachers what the policy is because, and you're a parent, Rev.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Carmen, but we're sending our kids back in full scale, 5 days a week. New York City has announced very controversially no remote option. I think Chicago
Mm.
has said. I think Chicago said that you're going to have a remote option for medically fragile.
I think there's some level of a remote availability because there will be some kids that'll actually be good, probably for them, certain type of kids. Um, it could
Well,
be helpful, but yeah,
yeah, but I don't think
yeah,
they'll let
medically,
kids.
yeah.
I don't think they let kids opt in unless they. Well, it depends. Yeah. So all these discussions we're having 1 month before school opens, they should be
Wow.
getting a registry of these kids right now, and they should be securing online services because we know there's going to be cases as soon as school starts here.
Hmm.
And in New York City, school starts September 7th for
Well,
teachers
wait,
and September.
are
Yeah.
your look, this authorization, these people using the excuse that they can't, they don't want to take the vaccine because it hasn't been fully vetted by the FDA or the CIA or whoever they think is going to, it's going to make a difference, signing off on it. But the are you like, look, you just if you want to teach, you have to have a vaccine, end of story. If you want to work at Burger King, you have to have a vaccine, end of story. You want to be involved with the public or whatever. So from the standpoint of, the kids need every one of their teachers vaccinated because the kids can't get vaccinated. So Chicago schools, well, they mandated masks, right, for all schools. I think that federal or is that just Illinois? No, it's just Illinois. Pritzker did it today. Everybody's got to wear a mask, vaccinated or not, at school. And I'm, except if there were no Delta variant, I'd have no hesitation sending my son back 5 days a week. He's been in summer camp all summer, with hundreds of kids. They've been wearing masks in smaller groups than it had been, but I'm comfortable with it. And even with the Delta variant, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I mean, I think we've all had COVID here, and I do worry about my son, but his education, and me, Teach, I was very much anti putting the kids back in school and everything. But anyway, keep going, Teach. Sorry.
So, a lot of questions. We just had a big union update yesterday at a town hall, and they put in the audio. I had to give clips to reporters all day long because only the teachers had access for 24 hours, and then they posted it today. And really big questions. The union supports a remote option, and the mayor does not. And the national union, the AFT, has called for a remote option in all schools, but they're not offering it. And in a lot of red states, they just consider themselves back to normal, and whatever happens, happens. But they have their numbers the next day or the next week, and New York has ours. And we have summer school open right now, and we have over 140 cases of which
Wow.
led to a classroom being
Who's getting it
quarantined.
though? Who's getting it?
Kids.
Yeah.
So
Summer
it's
school's
mostly the
just
kids.
kids. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
mostly
Yeah.
kids. The building.
And are they? But out of those 140, are they? They were obviously sick enough to get tested, right?
Right, those are known cases that shuts down a class, the policy right now. But this
Right.
is summer school, and so we're starting. So and you guys want some numbers? Oh, first of all, who wants to guess? All right, instant trivia show. What percentage of New York State is New York City? Who knows? Who
Are
can
you
come
talking about
closest?
percentage of people?
Yes, well, everything, population, schools,
teachers,
I mean,
everything.
like there is no New York State compared to New York City. It doesn't exist.
All right, but there's human beings up out of the city. So does anybody know the numbers? This is just like a knowable
Well,
thing.
I mean, there's 24 million people in the general metropolitan area of New York. The whole state can't have more than a million or two.
Right. So New York City is approximately 40 to 42% of the state.
Right.
And, so that's an enormous control of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a battle between I mean, that's why Democrats win is because of New York City, and
Mm-hmm. Sure.
the
Same with
governor.
Chicago.
Same with Los
So
Angeles.
Yeah.
yeah, all right. So New York City has such dominance, and the policies that Cuomo enacts. New York City might have a different policy, so they've bumped heads a couple of times.
Right.
And with Cuomo, he was such a priss that if De Blasio announced something, Cuomo would announce it statewide, like 2 days later or a day
Mm.
later, to try and take the credit away. And that's the whole thing. He was just preening the whole time on that stage and just holding court and talking about, his having spaghetti with his daughters and stuff and trying to be like the fireside chat. And it was so fakey fake if you follow this guy. We know that he has convicted criminals in his staff, so we call him Blue Trump. I mean, that hasn't caught on, but everybody's just comparing the narcissism, the control, and now after this report, we have documented bullying. When you take away this, you know, it's true that there's been worse groping and there's been worse complaints than this. But if you take that away, the subjugation and bullying and emotional, all of his staffers had to sign non-disclosure agreements.
Okay, but
So
why
there's,
did you guys reelect him? I hear you. I hear you. You hate Cuomo, but you guys reelected him.
I know
Why?
because it's a binary choice. I mean,
Yeah.
the question is why
I
didn't
feel-
why didn't a progressive win the primary? Well, I hope that they're looking good tonight. Zephyr Teachout has a great Twitter feed, and she's at the tip of the spear. She's the one that sued Trump for the emoluments clause, and she ran for governor. She's an academic, and she really knows her shit, and she wants to change the laws. And so Cynthia Nixon, she tried, but there was progressive challengers, and Cuomo, the way he beat Cynthia Nixon was by spending $20 million. When he beat Zephyr Teachout, he only had to spend like maybe $5-10 million.
Okay, you're
But
gonna hate
he
what I'm gonna say. So Cynthia Nixon, I know from Sex and the City. That's how I know who she is. But here's the other part of it is, that's politics. I get kind of annoyed when the argument is he beat her because he paid more money. I agree with you. We don't live in the world where politics isn't about money.
right,
So
well,
if there's a progressive wing that wants Cynthia Nixon in the office, then do what you got to do.
You're saying raise some more cash.
right,
I'm just
and
saying I
also,
get annoyed by the argument that, people lose because of money. This is the game we're in. This is politics. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Either change the game or learn how to play it better. Those are the choices.
in the general election, Cuomo's last Republican opponent got 45%.
Of the
So,
vote?
that, yeah.
That's
So,
pretty good.
Yeah, it's really
New
good
yeah,
for
York.
New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
Real quick here,
That
let me
was,
jump back into the comments here real quick. We just lost, this is Renee, we just lost a 40-year-old healthy friend, refused the vaccine, left 2 kids. Very sorry to hear about that from the children's perspective, to not have a parent because your parent, made a stupid decision. Obviously happens for more than just the virus, but yeah, there's, if you die of COVID right now, you pretty much are dying because you didn't get the vaccine. or in some cases, maybe some kids obviously can't yet. But and then how are they going to help the children that are traumatized by the virus? That's Melody, and you just we need to have a whole show on that, Melody,
Mental health.
because
Mhm.
I
first of
can give you
all,
the policy.
if
I
you
can,
if you if you at all have an inkling to go back to school to become a psychologist and you want to have work for the next 100 years, everybody's fucked up. The kids are fucked up, we're all fucked up, and we need you out there in service to us, and I would appreciate that very much. You were going to make a comment, Teach?
yeah. So the union came out with a 5-point plan. The UFT is the biggest teachers union in the nation, because the biggest local union, because all 5 boroughs is one union, the
One
teachers
union.
union. Yes, and they've
Yeah,
never had there, and that's twice as big as LA. So,
sure.
um, so they have a 5-point plan, and there was money allocated for learning recovery, what they call learning loss.
Mhm.
But they want to have mental health screenings for all kids,
Good.
and they want to have and they're going to be having these a crisis team in every school. And
Hmm.
some of this was already
Good.
negotiated with the
Mm-hmm.
DOE. And they're going to have like buku additional services, like after school clubs are going to be well stocked with people, hiring and running that program probably till 6 or 7 at night every day. And that's helpful. We have in my school, we have Saturdays where kids can come in and get extra help, or if they're just hungry, whatever. And we have a certain number of kids coming in for that. And you could give a kid a Saturday if they need to make up some work and stuff. But they don't have to come. But my big question, because the people are asking, what's the policy on rotating classes? Right? When you get to the middle school level, you're supposed to go to science and math and English and social studies. Are we really going to be swapping rooms? Because that is giving up on the spread of the virus. And those decisions apparently are going to be made at the school level based on what they call the building response team. They have all these names: the building support team, the building this team. And they have to make a plan about spacing, about transitions, hallway movement, bathroom use, and you can imagine there's a lot of details to iron out, because all last year we were at half capacity. This summer we've been at 1/5 capacity, and there's cases of very small fraction, but there is over 140 cases at least, in 50 schools or something. And we're going to be opening up in September 13th with 1.1 million kids all expected to come to school.
Is that how many kids are in the district?
Well,
Jesus.
that the some of
400,000
them
in Chicago, I think.
some of them are not going to come. You have parents of people that are 12 and under, and I know
Uh-huh.
you're in that. I know you're in that
Yeah, mine's
bracket.
7.
Is that some people are saying we're going to homeschool until there's a vaccine for kids, which is expected around winter,
Mhm.
and they're willing to do that. And maybe it depends what the law is going to be on the remote learning, and that's why
Well,
it's
I
in
would
writing
say
right now.
if you've kept your kid out of the public um exposure to public, and you've been going to have all your food delivered or whatever. I mean, I know there are still people that have kind of holed themselves in and haven't even gone outside yet still. I can definitely understand that perspective from a parent. I was that parent, the first round of sending our kids back, I was 100% against it. And then 3 weeks after my second dose of the vaccine, school started. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Mom and I are both vaccinated. Let's, for our just general survivability of me being able to work and do all these different things and weighing all this stuff. It's like, let's send him back to school. It's 2 days a week and the rest is remote.
Yeah, so you were
I
hybrid, which is half the
Yeah,
time,
right.
right? So this is
And
going to be different. This is going to be
yeah,
all the
full time
all the
school. I don't know, with the Delta variant and the next variant that might come, they should have an option for that homeschooling still. I think they're
well,
making a
and
mistake.
so right, and so there's like 3 or 4 big cities. We have the education chair in the New York City Council. I think his name is Brad Lander. He said that the schools need to they need to reduce the size of they need to cap the size at 14.
The class
And if
size.
we
Yeah.
yeah, and if we do that, it not only fixes the safety concern immediately of the pandemic, but that's a policy that we should have permanently so that the kids
Well,
get a better
shit, that'd be
education.
awesome if you only had 14 kids in a classroom.
That should have happened a long time ago. That had nothing to do with COVID, but I
So
digress.
this is a long-term bill that might take a couple of years to get passed, but to do it for this is why they're proposing it now, because they're trying to do it through the health code because of the pandemic. And if you just
Mm-hmm.
look at the plain science, we should be doing this if our intention is to stop the spread of the
Right.
virus. And so it seems like our
Well,
intention is to let it wash over everybody because you only get mildly sick. That seems to be the policy intention.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in for a moment because I'm going to go. It's only 9 o'clock here in California, but it's my bedtime because I'm up at
open air
4
schools. Yep.
a.m. So
Melody, they have those in California. Go
Yes.
ahead, Carmen.
Go
no,
ahead,
I'm
Carmen.
just going to say good night. I'm going to say good night because I'm an early bird, so I need to wind down and get myself to bed. But it was
Well,
such
thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Get
Thank
your
you for hanging
rest.
out.
It was nice talking. Yep, no problem.
I'll see you guys again for sure. Thank you so much. Good night.
Night,
You
Good
know
night,
what?
Carmen. Nice to meet
I
you.
don't even know. I don't even know how do I log
Oh,
out?
there's a little button that
Oh
says
yeah, at the
exit.
bottom. That's awesome. Okay, bye. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
All right, be good. Yeah, so there's so many details to iron out, and parents are in, they have skin in the game, so they're in on these decisions. And you got the man, if you go to New York City parent Twitter, you will find these vicious brawls about masking, no masking. And so Melody is talking about open air schools. That is actually the announced policy of cafeterias for the immediate future, because the industrial hygienists are recommending that when the kids are eating, that you have another layer of air circulation. So that means everybody's gonna be eating in the cafeteria in their coats, and then they're gonna probably be pushed outside as soon as the food is over.
Hang on, everybody. Well, we'll keep talking, but my
Nice, Renee. Be good.
phone wasn't charging while we were doing the video here, so I don't know if my video is going to be able to come back. I'm hooking up another phone, but yeah, I mean, do you just teach on the nice weather days? And I mean, there just could be so many different variables that they could have here. I will say this, that I am deeply disappointed in humanity, number one, because of COVID. I am, though not surprised, I am not disappointed in our public school officials and stuff because, look, I don't know what it is about people in power and being idiots, but apparently it's the default of for humanity as well. So I'm glad that at least in New York, you guys are, because I don't, in Chicago, I don't know what class size is going to be or anything, but I'm just saying, I'm glad, Teach, that you're doing it and you've got a union that really cares. The Chicago union cares too, don't get me wrong, but you guys have a lot of power there, and what you guys can get done there can help us here as well. So I appreciate that, what you and all of your colleagues are trying to do.
Yeah, yeah, we're trying, man. We're humping it. We're saying that they should be doing some preparation now for the inevitable remote learning. I don't know if you're going to experience that, but it
Well,
depends
you
on
are
the.
you guys saying it's remote inevitably because of the variant?
But that's the thing. We have no policy for remote learning right now, and
Uh,
and it and the first day that there's a case, that kid is in remote learning, and so that's going to literally be the first day, because in a city as big as we have right now a 3.6% statewide positivity rate, and New York
mm-hmm.
City rolling average is about 3.2% positivity rate, which is double what it was like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And so that's bad. And there's no point in time in this pandemic when we've been 5 days back to school with full classes, which means packed trains and buses. So we're just accepting. What we're doing is we're allowing the spread of the virus, because when you're vaccinated, it doesn't hurt you so bad, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the thinking behind the official policy.
Well,
Whereas, the science is saying I guess the science is saying it's okay to do this. Whoa, don't put on the brakes,
well,
like,
I don't think the science. I mean, look, we gave up. We gave up. We
are
decided
we
to
doing another?
sacrifice hundreds of thousands of Americans. Um, you know, I get it. Trump was in power, but there were 330 million Americans. We could have done something, and then before Biden was fully in and everything, I think we did give up. We just said, you know what, we're gonna try to go back to our lives. I think all the governors did that way too early, but they made the conscious choice that we were just going to lose the people that we lost. So it's very difficult because I'm very much opposed, to these things in general, and would agree with you that people screwed so many things up and
Thank you.
everything else. The, um, you know, to my mind, if you're vaccinated and you do catch it and you get a little sick and you pass it on to people, we know that, then please wear a mask, have everybody respectful of the 6 feet distance. But I have a hard time having sympathy for anybody who dies who could have gotten the vaccine. Like,
Right,
just,
but what about the people where it's not their choice?
but the people
This
that
is
it's not their choice, those are.
10 times more replicable, which means 10 times more experiments.
Well, right, but let's break that down quickly as to who are you saying couldn't get it for some other reason? I mean, not medical, but that, like, if a parent's refusing to get their 15-year-old vaccinated, that should be a crime. It's
I asked that question in a teacher forum, and the answer I got back is that pregnant women, number one,
mhm.
people that are told to by their doctor straight up, and then you have people who just are making the decision, and they want to wait and see longer what happens to regular
Well,
people.
then they roll and those people are rolling the dice. That's they're free to choose to roll the dice or not. Now,
Yeah,
pregnant women, I don't know that pregnant women in the first or second trimester can't get it. I don't know, right? I don't know. I would say as a pregnant woman, it would be probably a good idea
every
to
woman has
not
her own doctor,
not take the
right?
virus. But I'm no doctor,
Yeah, every pregnant woman has her own doctor. I mean,
right? And that's,
maybe we should be getting some more prenatal care in some communities, but
yeah.
or not, maybe we should be getting better prenatal care so that there's
But
more
that's why
equity.
everybody else teach that can get vaccinated. If they did, that's the point of herd immunity. You're protecting the pregnant women. You're protecting the infirm that can't get it. You're protecting the children that can't get it. That's why everybody else. And I mean, again, I have this weird, I guess they say if you go far enough left, you get your guns as well.
So that was
But
the that was the crucial decision last year, was to make half schools, half capacity, and they went to great lengths to do that. And there's a lot of complaints about that, but is half capacity, so that's a remote learning option, and that has a
Hey,
health and
Mark.
safety benefit. I'm not talking about adults that are vaccinated. I'm talking about kids 12 and under, and that can't get vaccinated. And
Yeah, but that's
you're
who that right. I mean, we shouldn't be in this position. Kids, we shouldn't be have to be worried about kids 12 and under because every fucking idiot that didn't get vaccinated, if they would get vaccinated, that herd immunity is exactly how that works. Is those kids would be safe. Infants can't get vaccines, but in general, infants don't get those diseases because of herd immunity. If humans were decent, beings, and we didn't have these 30% of people who are different, then we wouldn't be worried about the kids get the disease because people are vaccinated. So even though you
Well,
can get people,
you say that where you are in Chicago, but in the Bronx, um, they're the young people 12 and under fucking outnumber all the other people
yeah,
in the Bronx. And then when you go into a middle school or an elementary school, you are completely engulfed in kids that are 12 and under.
well, yeah, they
And
should
and
have
and so
smaller class sizes and everything.
yeah, so the herd immunity thing, it's just a zero sum game, and the numbers are
Hmm.
the numbers, and there's going to be a certain amount, no matter what you and I say, there's going to be a certain amount of cases in this Delta variant, and right now it's a gamble, and who are you betting on? Do you bet? We see in the one corner, it's the Delta variant, which is 10 times more replicable in your body and
Hmm.
1,000 times more shedding from your body. And
Right.
on the other corner, it's every individual person's constitution and your health regimen and your hereditary diseases or any kind of asthma, diabetes, if you're battling cancer, you can't even think about it. If you have an autoimmune deficiency,
Yeah, but those are
if
still
you're smoking, if you're obese, if
excluding.
you're yeah.
Well, and I was going to say excluding the kids. Um, Well, anyway, look, there's the percentage of people excluding the kids that can't get vaccinated. The reality of it is on, and I hate to say it, on a planet of 7 billion people, and most of them won't get probably vaccinated anytime soon. Um, you know, I'd be
Wherever.
perfectly happy if we airdropped food to everybody and locked everything down. I'd be fine with it. You know what I mean? If we did it for another year. That sounds,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds crazy ridiculous, but the fact of the matter is I think we're here, and I don't think they're going to peel it back too far. I agree 100% that the class sizes should be half. There should be a remote,
It's not happening
option.
though. So
What's
how are
that?
you? It's not happening though. So what do
No,
you
I know
say
it's probably not
as a
going to happen.
parent? What do you say as a parent that the city is sending your kid into double sizes with the local community infection rate where you are?
Yeah.
Um, and there's no. I mean, you guys have a remote option, so I'm not even sure if you're allowed to opt in, even if you don't have a medical reason.
Hmm.
But that's a big question of whether there should be a central remote option, right? But an entire city can just make, and this would be the best win-win for everybody because you
Hmm.
want to reduce class sizes
Right.
organically, right, by
And other
attrition,
than the
and
politics
then
of how it could be done wrong, I think that again, let's say 15% of New York public school kids should be remote, should have always been remote, whatever. I mean,
yeah,
remote needs to happen. It can be refined. Some kids could even be part remote and go to school sometimes. I mean, there could be all kinds of variations. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm just saying, that can you imagine the changes for some kids who don't get to go to school in New York because their living situation or whatever, but that they could maybe go remotely. I mean, just giving that option needs to
well,
be
you have
there.
you have you have siblings that have to watch younger baby
Right,
sisters
right,
and brothers,
right.
and raise them basically. And then you have on any given day, you know how many kids out of New York City have a sprained ankle and they can't
Out of a
walk?
million
And
kids, I
out
don't
of
know,
it, yeah,
1,000.
and right. So let's just say there's a million reasons,
Uh-huh.
and on that day, if a kid can't show up, you have a remote option. You will increase
Yeah.
learning in that school, and the cost of laptops is negligible, even if when they keep breaking them and everything. It's just it's just a factor that
Oh
we
yeah,
have
because
to
those
pay.
Chromebooks are, you can get a good Chromebook, because we got one for my son, because the one from school was, the software was all just a pain, for $250, and it's,
Yeah,
you know,
the parent could do the school district a favor and get their own computer because it'll be better anyway.
yeah.
You
Well,
know.
if the parent can afford it, I think the parent should buy it. But sometimes it's just easier, in terms of the districts, just to give them to everybody. But
Right, right. And so, the parent is also having to afford Wi-Fi charges, which are,
which,
we just passed a law that goes into effect January 1st, and if you're on welfare, basically, you can get $15 Wi-Fi a month.
yeah, we have that here in Chicago. Well, it's national. It's $15 a month for a fairly decent, speed from Comcast and the other providers. If you're on Snap, or, well, actually,
It
anybody in
should be public
Chicago
Wi-Fi.
qualifies for it, because if you get free lunch, you get this program, and every kid in Chicago, no matter how much money you have, everybody gets free lunch in Chicago. So,
Right, and they say with remote learning there is a big factor about kids not getting good food. They got to come in and get good food, and
hmm,
you have to look at a kid every once in a while and just kind
yeah,
of see, like, if they're okay and stuff.
exactly.
Um, yeah, and then the kids have stuff that they want to unload on you in the course of a day. And there's all this social emotional stuff that's we're getting all these trainings coming down the pipe. But yeah, the union has like a 5-point plan. They want to get parent supports, they want to get student supports, they want the community schools idea. And we're talking about one of the 5 points is so important. It's ventilation, like mechanical ventilation, because so many of these schools do not have them. And this is the year we need it. We'll need it a lot more this year than we need it next year. But if you're like, let me put it this way. I was at a public hearing the other night, and because I showed up, and I was one of only a couple of people that actually showed up for the whole borough,
Hmm.
um, I got the lady's card, and she was like, "Let's see what we can do about your building, if we can get you some ventilation." So the as my friend Rick always says, the squeaky wheel gets the cheese.
Well, yeah, like um, they should, in this infrastructure bills, and I guess they're going to do that. And we should do this again soon, but because and I but the what do they call it when they're pushing the bill through without the
Appropriation.
Republicans? This
Oh
um
yeah, that's the budget reconciliation.
yeah, the budget reconciliation thing, in that, they should just have money in there, because to us it would be a major amount, but in the trillion or 2 trillion that it's going to be, it would be nothing. Is just to retrofit every school with better ventilation. You know what I mean? Just,
Well,
shit.
you
We've got
gotta
enough
you
money
gotta
in this
also
country to
build.
just build a new school for everybody.
Yeah, we're to the point where it's in some cases. Well, no, retrofits are feasible in a lot of
Yeah.
places,
Well,
and it's
it would
smart.
create
But
jobs. It would be a job creator.
right. But you also want it to be, we need capacity right now. I mean,
You need, right.
if they're talking about 3 foot social distancing, there's already 50 schools that are identified that don't have that capacity. They enrolled more kids and they just have small dimensions. And so those schools right off the bat this year in a month are opening, and they're having to offload those kids, which means busing them, or they taking trains now. It's crazy, and all of the stuff has real world impacts. Wait till the kids start getting the sniffles. in October, and every teacher is having sniffles, you're supposed to stay home if you have a symptom, right?
Right.
So that alone is going to be weeks and weeks of of days of remote learning that kids are either going to do, or they're going to have a printed out packet, for the whole day. And if you're a good kid, you finish the whole thing in less than an hour. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you're, and then you have the whole day goofing off, and and then the next, you know, the next kid won't even look at the packet in the first place because it's such bullshit. So
Agreed. Hey, you're pretty busy with all this stuff going on with the schools. I'm thinking like, um, if you could even be every other week, or weekly, but like a Tuesday or Thursday, hit me up. Let me know. Let's at least do it once in a while because this
oh
has been a
man, yeah.
blast.
Yeah, man, we didn't even catch up on the insurrection shit.
I
We didn't
know
even catch up
exactly.
on
So do you want to go? What's
the
tonight? Is what,
lawsuits.
Wednesday?
Yeah, the lawsuits moving through, and the Department of Justice inquiry. It's all looking really bad. The walls are crushing in, but it's every single day different news. The
Well,
big news today,
let's do the insurrection like next week, like Tuesday or Thursday.
right?
Tuesday?
Oh, next week?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, yeah, if it's late, like Tuesday, 10 o'clock or something,
You
or
know, it's always going to be 10 o'clock. Yeah.
sure, no
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, because let's cover that on Tuesday. That'll be good. And I've been itching to do politics again, because especially in the summer, because I'm only generally going 3 days a week. So to weave politics in there would be fun, and I enjoy it, and I miss it, and it's important for people to hear good conversation. So, but I am
Insurrection Junction. They have whistleblowers, and they have rats, and they have sentences, and they have lots of justice being handed out, and lots of
well, good. Well, I
and
will look forward
yep. All right.
to
So you
hearing
want
all
you want
about
to call
that,
it
my
there?
friend. Good.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Kizzy,
Yep.
Melody,
Thanks, Kizzy.
Mark, um, was it Renee? I know Helga was here.
I just followed some people here.
Yeah,
Let's
make sure
see.
you follow everybody. And my Carmen, what a fun thing that was. And Mike and Tony D, and of course Governor Cuomo. I'm sure you're watching. And say hi to your brother Chris. And great to see you, Bernie.
All right, man. No problem. Take care, guys. Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
you take care
Bye.
too, man.
Later. See you Tuesday.
See ya. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Revolution McKinnis. We'll see you on Friday. Peace be with you, and namaste.